Salutations, respected viewers. This is George from Ireland with a sore throat. So this video is about Anna Soubry, what's happened to her lately and what she's been saying. Well, she's a Conservative Member of Parliament and she's perhaps the most outspoken Remainer amongst the Conservative MPs, more so than even Ken Clarke. Now, she's my least favourite Conservative MP for various reasons, partly because of her political positions, but she comes across as uptight, judgmental, melancholic, a harridan overall. But anyway, as she's been coming into Parliament, she's often been surrounded by this baying mob of people. I think some of them are ultra-leftists, some of them are ultra-leavers, and perhaps a combination of the two, because remember, some of the far left are leavers in relation to the European Union. So she's been verbally abused and jostled. Now, I'm minded to say that we should be allowed to say just about anything to each other, and that's not a crime, and the police shouldn't intervene, and that's what a free society is, and sometimes it's distasteful. People will be unpleasant to each other, and we don't want a police state where the police are arresting people over these minutiae or things like that, just saying, I don't like you. That's de minimis. I don't think anyone's proposing that, arresting people for saying that, but for swearing at people and things like that. And it's just impractical. We can't police everybody's interaction or who said what. So that's been the case for a long time, and politics is a fractious affair and people just have to take it, and if you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen. But what does the law actually say? And it's been like this for at least 15 years. Anything that causes fear, distress or alarm is a crime in the United Kingdom. Or I might have that wrong, it might be specifically just England. That was passed by Tony Blair's new Labour government. So she certainly suffered some distress, fear, maybe alarm. So insulting or threatening words of behaviour, that's also a crime. Now, you might disagree with the law, and I do, certainly the latter part, insulting words or behaviour being criminalised, because I know these things are distasteful, but you know, that's life, we just have to grow up about it, and of course there are going to be people we don't get on with, and we shouldn't have the police wasting their time on these trivialities. They've got more serious crimes to deal with, about 800 murders a year in the United Kingdom. All sorts of other things, rather than nicking people for what they posted on Facebook. All right, so I think there should not be a law about it, but there is. And the police are there to enforce the law, not to make it, not to choose which the laws are. And they need to exercise some discretion. I know if a crime is reported, they're obliged to investigate. They often make almost no effort. Remember 10 years ago, my bicycle was stolen. I got a letter dated that same day saying there was not enough evidence to investigate. But you know, there's CCTV everywhere in London, stolen outside Richmond upon Thames station. Using CCTV, they could follow the thief all the way home, but they didn't bother, I suppose because they're too busy chasing up people being rude. So, Anna Soubry, she deserves less sympathy than most. Certainly jostled, that's not acceptable. Touching someone against their will in an aggressive manner, pushing her, shoulder barging her, anything like that. So I suppose this is where the police should intervene, and she was saying the police have been negligent in this regard. They ought to intervene and ensure her safety and things like that. So there we are. So the police are sometimes letting MPs down. I'm glad that MPs aren't too much of a privileged class, realise what it's like for everybody else. She's a barrister, Anna Soubry, she knows her rights, was a journalist before that. She's an outspoken pro-abortionist, which would not endear her to everybody. So that's that. Now, her position is completely illogical, saying that, we shouldn't have Brexit after all. Right? She voted for the Referendum Act. The referendum was then held. The whole purpose of that was to decide whether the UK's staying in the EU or not, and the decision was not to. Otherwise, what was the point? Advice. Referendums are never held for advice. Now, it's true that Parliament's not legally compelled to give effect to this, but we all know the reason was because, you know, the people are the masters, not the servants of the politicians, and some politicians think it's the other way around. And Anna Soubry, she voted for the EU Notice of Withdrawal Act. She voted for the EU Withdrawal Act. And despite all that, she's saying now it shouldn't happen. It's nuts. It's completely illogical and self-contradictory and idiotic. So anyway, I really hope she's gone at the next election. She shall not be missed.